Hello, beautiful beings. Thanks for joining me tonight for How to Do the Impossible. I wanted to let you know that I'm really appreciating a lot of the feedback that I have been getting, and it's really helpful to see and hear what works for you. I do know one of the comments that I am taking very seriously is that you were wondering if any of the videos can be shorter. And yes, I would love to make them shorter, and I'm really going to try. I too completely understand that because I prefer getting my information in smaller bits as well. It just feels like there's so much I want to share with you that I'm always trying to get in as much as possible. So I'm going to try and make them shorter. I'm realizing that dealing with a few different topics in one night isn't possible, and may even have to cover the same topic over a couple of nights so that it's just more manageable within a week. So keep the info coming, and keep me informed as to what's working for you and what's not, because there's nothing more I would like to do than try and make these videos more helpful for you finding that health and vitality that we all want so much. So for tonight, dealing with how to do the impossible, there's one really quick message I want you to think about, and hopefully throughout this little video, you'll go from wondering how to do the impossible to believing what I'm going to say. And from now on, I want you to look at the word impossible as two separate words with a hyphen. So I'm possible. So separate the I am and the possible, and put a hyphen between the I and the M, and that's really where we're going tonight. We want to make everything possible. I want you to believe that everything is possible. So that's what we're working on, and to do that, we really have to look at goal setting. I think we do goal setting pretty well. There's just a few kind of key steps in the process that we miss that will help us really hone in on what it is we're trying to achieve. And when we can hone in on what we're trying to achieve, we can make better steps and understand how to work towards it a lot easier. So bear with me tonight. I'm going to try and hit the points quicker and more clearly than I usually do. But as a result, please hit me up with any questions, because it sort of means that I miss the opportunity to expand on a lot of stuff. And I feel like, to really get a sense for some of these things, it may be more challenging. So where we're going to go, we're going to kind of break down the goal setting process first, and building the steps for it. And then we're going to go through the barriers, how to overcome some of the barriers. And I have a quick little mind exercise you can work on that maybe helps you with that. And then we're going to talk about actually creating the goal, or creating your desire that you're looking for. So breaking down the why of your goal. And this is the major step that we miss, because the why actually allows you to better form your goal, to create your goal in a way that, it has the true essence of why it is you want to achieve it. Because oftentimes, and I will use running examples a lot tonight, because I've worked a lot on goal setting from that perspective, but it's also something personal to me. But this applies to everything. So it applies to wishes and desires you have. It applies to changing your nutrition habits, changing your sleeping habits, just changing, your work and life and energy patterns. It doesn't matter what it is, but I will apply it to some running examples as well as others, just to try and give you some specific examples to what we're talking about. And so when I talk about the why, I talk about, imagine or remember, if you've ever had a conversation with a toddler, when you give them, they'll say, why is that ball blue? And so you explain, well, that's the color it is. Well, why? Well, that's because they put a dye or paint on it to try and make it a nice color, so you'll buy it. Why? And so it feels like with the toddler, you're going on forever and you've answered the question, but you really haven't, because if you follow them through the thought process, there are more whys, and it does get deeper down to the very specifics of that ball will be more interesting, more used if there's a color associated with it, and blue tends to be a popular color. There's just so many whys. So the same applies to your goals. So for example, when I decided, a lot of people say, I want to do a 5K. And so I just decided I wish I could run. It was after a long illness. I wish I could run a 5K again. But the question becomes, is that just like a goal we hear? Is that what we hear people saying? We had it once, we did it, we want to do it again. Like, why a 5K? And why, why do I want to run that far? Why do I want to run the pace that would be? Why does it have to be that difference? And so, or distance. So what I did was really broke down the whys. Well, I kind of like running. It's easy to do. I can do it anywhere. I just need a good pair of shoes. I can do it when I'm traveling. I can do it on my back road. I can do it in the trails. I could do it on a treadmill. And it seemed accessible, but was that even really the why? Because it still doesn't explain the 5K and why a race and all these. Well, yeah, there's a sense of accomplishment. Yes, I want to know that, I challenge myself, but that isn't really why I'm doing it. So something there doesn't make sense. So why do I want to run? And as I broke it down, and you'll find this a lot, actually. You'll find a few little triggers that will be, people will find that it reminds them of something they did as a child that was fun or made them feel good or just makes them feel a little more youthful and childlike. It can also be just a sensation it gives them. So what I realized was I actually really liked the feeling of the freedom of running. I didn't need to carry anything. I didn't need to be doing a specific thing. I could just kind of run. I could cover, a different scenery and atmosphere. And then I also liked a bit of the feeling of sort of the power and strength that comes from running. So that gave me a good feeling. And it did remind me as a child, running through fields or running through little trails or running away from something or running to something I was late for. But there was all these kind of feelings and sensations it gave me. And what I realized, it wasn't about the 5K. It really wasn't about the distance. And it was a little bit about setting those goals so I did it more. And I often have had people who form these goals and realize it's kind of ironic. It's really not about a 5K run they want to do. They actually want to be able to run a 5K on a regular basis. And a lot of people who sort of set an end goal that has an end, achieve that goal, and then just sort of let it all go for a little bit. It's kind of like, the big hype, the letdown. And so a lot of people have found a lot more success with setting a goal that, yes, gets them to there, but it's just becomes more of a lifestyle. So it's, one person then set the goal, I want to be able to run a 5K whenever my friend calls, if there is a fun run or they want to go for a 5K run, I want to have the ability to more or less be able to run it at a moment's notice or with a little bit of prep or, all these kind of things. But it really wasn't just getting to a 5K race, signing up for a 5K race, doing it, and then that was all. So it's interesting. That's why breaking down the why will really help you understand what that goal should be. It also helped me understand that it really wasn't about running that distance. And when I was overcoming an illness, if all I could run was 100 meters, then I actually still was more or less achieving my goal because my goal was to sense that feeling. So when you know the why, when you know the real, honest, deep-rooted why, that's when you can set a goal that really works for you and serves you and will also just give you so much clarity that there just won't be a whole lot of debate about when to do it. And you'll also have less sort of body and mind resistance to it because you'll really be understanding the purpose underneath it all. So I challenge you to do that. Keep breaking it down. You'll sometimes find that, you'll ask a why, you'll answer it, but maybe that's not the end, but sit with it for a while, let it go a couple of days, then come back to it and just sort of keep working on it until you feel you've found the basic root of it all. So then the other place we want to go is breaking down that goal into steps. And we often do this sort of in increments. If I do this, then I can do this, then I can do this, and then I'm there. I suggest focusing on getting down to the very basic, smallest step that you could possibly break it down to. And why you want to do this. So as you achieve, your goal and your understanding of your goal, you actually want to put that aside. You'll have that. It's already ingrained. You've done work on it. It's in your mind. Just set that aside. A lot of us think to put our goal on the mirror or whatever, but that can actually almost be too overwhelming when we're only looking at the final piece, because sometimes we can't see the steps in there. And sometimes too, as you go, you have to tweak the steps. So your body won't naturally be able to see how to get you there, because some of it's trial and errors as you go. So keep the goal somewhere safe, put it aside, and then let's start talking about the steps. And when you break it down to the smallest step, I mean the smallest. Like, you want to break it down to the point where your worst day, all's fallen apart, and you can't possibly achieve anything. What is the smallest goal that you can do to work towards, or the smallest step you can do to work towards your goal? And all I mean by that is you're really habit forming. You're also working to tell your body this is possible. So that's why you want to have these really small steps that sort of convince you it's still happening, you're doing it. And for example, for people that often want to work out every day, and sometimes that might be a 10-minute workout, maybe it's 20, 30, whatever it is, I actually suggest, and you maybe even heard me use this term before, roll out the yoga mat and sit there for 2 minutes. That's your smallest step. When you think that your smallest step is a 10-minute workout, no, your smallest step is just getting you there. Your smallest step is just getting in position. You're telling your body, this is my time, this is my workout time, and I got myself here. That is your smallest step, because some days the best thing you can do for yourself is just get yourself there and rest. And I mean that in all honesty. It's not about being lazy or too tired or anything like that. Sometimes just sitting somewhere for 2 minutes is the best thing you can do for yourself. And so if you did that and got yourself to the place you want to be, where you want to create the habit, where you normally want to work out, then that is your smallest step. And you achieved it that day. So that's important to remember. And know that each day is an opportunity to revisit your steps. So, maybe you have a sense of kind of where you're going and the steps to get to your goal. The thing is, you need to always be tweaking those, or you're not using the information that you've been getting to help yourself find success. And what I mean by that is, so a lot of us will sometimes set up to go to the gym after work. Or we will set up to, eat really healthy meals each night. But as we go through the day, it's harder to achieve that. You're tired. You've had a lot going on, maybe stressful things you didn't expect happen that day. And it's just really hard to stay on point with your goal. So after that happens a few days and you don't feel like you got where you did, and especially if you can't achieve your smallest step, that's not a sign of failure, and nor is it a sign of lack of willpower or determination or any of these things. What it is a sign that there needs to be a modification to that step. So maybe what you're starting to realize is that you need a 10-minute workout try it at your coffee break or your lunch or before work. Try it that it's earlier in the day. Try it that maybe you're going with a friend or you're going and doing something outside. You don't really know what it is, but you have to admit that it's not working for you. Instead of assuming that you're doing something wrong or not trying hard enough. And I will say this is really the biggest mistake we make, is that when it's not working, it's not failure. It's information to tell us better where we can be successful. So just think of it from that perspective and try something new. And when that doesn't work either, then try something else new. And really, that's where, as coaches, we are here to help you come up with those things, because we, part of our job has been coming up with these alternatives. So you just always want to be trying to find what works, and it's not meant to always be so hard. We have this belief that if we're trying to make improvements in our life, if they're not painful or difficult or hard, we're not making good enough ones. But that's not true. It's because we're working against ourselves. If they're like that, they're actually meant to be easy, especially when we're doing it this way with small steps, small modifications. It really is a no-fail method, because you're always modifying, you're always looking for the smallest steps, you're always putting in sort of a no-fail routine, because you can always get there. Your body slowly adjusts, it slowly evolves, it doesn't feel the pressure, so it actually wants to keep doing what you're doing, because it hasn't been this drastic change or this push hard, push through, fight yourself kind of attitude. The small steps, the no-fail plans, and the constant tweaking are always going to be motivating yourself to want to do more of this. So each day is a new opportunity to readjust, revisit, revise, and no day is a failure. It's information. Plan for your day ahead and see what you can do differently to make it work for you. And when you find that thing that works, you'll realize how easy it is. And until you do, keep trying, keep tweaking, keep revising. Then next on to barriers. Okay, this is where it gets tough for us, because we don't even realize that there's things we're doing to work against ourselves that are causing ourselves to make it feel hard and to knock ourselves down. And this is really 3 areas. There's 3 things we are doing that are causing it to be a lot harder on ourselves. We are telling ourselves something that doesn't serve us. We believe something that doesn't serve us, or it doesn't feel good in a way that would serve us. So what I mean by the telling ourselves, it's our self-talk. And you sometimes hear me talk about this, but it's really important. So I'm going to use running again as an example, because when I really examine this for myself, it's actually a little horrifying to sometimes realize the things you tell yourself. But where we also don't realize is the things you're telling yourself. So say you're planning whatever your goal is, or your step, or the time of day you're going to work on this, especially if it's later in the day. This is what works against us, because we're having self-talk about it all day long. And that is one of the reasons. There are many, but one of the reasons people do well by, getting their habit or their goal or their step set up earlier in the day is because you don't have this self-defeating self-talk that builds and builds as you go through the day. And if, say, you want to go for a walk every day, or run or work out or whatever it is, if it's some sort of activity, as you're going through the day, not only are you talking about yourself, which gets a little less and less helpful, especially as you're preparing to do it. Because imagine, so I found myself doing this. Oh, I got to get for a run. I just got to put my shoes on and get myself there. And I'm just not going to have the energy to do it. I don't feel like doing it today. But you know what? I missed it for 2 days. Shame on me. I'm going to have to make myself do it. It's not going to feel very good. But that's the kind of conversation I'm having with myself. Now, how motivating is that? Not very motivating. So that's what was going on there. Well, then we all know the self-talk we do while we're doing it, right? If you're, talking yourself down about something you're eating that you don't want to be eating, or you're eating too much, or you're not working out hard enough, or you're not working out long enough, or, you didn't plan well enough and get it done. All these things, even while we're doing it, is like the worst coach we could have ever hired, knocking ourselves down while we're doing it. And then the most amazing thing, and this is where the smallest step really helps you, is we often knock ourselves down after we even do it. So even though we got there and did it, it was either not big enough, not tough enough, not healthy enough, not well enough. We really never allow ourselves to feel that sense of satisfaction that we did a good job. In our minds, we could always do better. And that's when your small step, it's really important to start to teach yourself when you do it, if it's for 2 minutes, whatever it was, when you do it, that's when you want to pat yourself on the back. We'll talk about that a little more at the end. But then I want to talk about beliefs, because we have beliefs we don't even realize that aren't even true. And we form beliefs from so many areas, right? We've formed it from things people, family, friends have told us. We've formed it from things we read and see in media. We've formed it just from social understandings. And we've even formed it by putting pieces together from different sources that don't even make sense. But we actually believe all of our beliefs are true. So we have to challenge those to make sure that they are even true. And I can tell you, there's usually always a percentage of some of our beliefs that aren't true. And there's always a possibility that they're not true, no matter what they are. Always a possibility that they're not true. So we need to acknowledge that. So it's really tough to challenge your beliefs and know what it is you're challenging, I guess I would say. So you always have to, again, kind of go down to the core of things. And I'd say for running, the biggest belief I come across with people is they don't believe they're a runner, or no one runs in their family, or they aren't the body shape of a runner, or, they've tried before and didn't do well, or in public school, they were the slowest, or all of these things are simply just not factors on whether you're a runner or not. And here's the thing. If you can run more than one step, meaning 2, then you're a runner. It's a gait. It's a movement in our legs. And if you can do those 2, then you can run. There is no other category that makes you a runner or not a runner. And, how far you run. At one time, I thought you had to run a certain distance to be qualified as a runner, or you had to be competitive to be qualified. All those things are ridiculous. They're not even true. If you want to get into the physiology and physics and physical movement of running, it's those 2 steps. So that's all it takes. So throw everything out the window. If you've ever desired to do it, it can be your goal. And that applies to everything. So your genetics, your body shape, how your family grew up eating, none of those have any factor on whether you can improve your health with nutrition. Whatever the goal would be, sleeping. We're so convinced that because you've had trouble sleeping all your life, that's just the way it is, or your family does, or no, none of those are true. Don't accept any of those. Those are what make things impossible. But can you believe that we're believing something's impossible because of something that isn't true? So challenge your beliefs and break them down into the smallest themselves, because when you get there, you'll realize everything is possible. So if you have a belief that something is impossible, then you have it based on something that isn't true. So you really have to challenge those. Then the third one, feelings. You also want to know how something makes you feel. And this kind of works in 2 ways. So sometimes when we set a goal that is to improve, especially something with our health, there's usually something in there that comes from a bad feeling. And I believe that comes from your belief in what you tell yourself, then creates a bad feeling in our body. In other words, if it's weight you want to lose, and whatever you tell yourself, whether it's impossible because you've tried so many times, or it's your genetics or whatever, that when you then set that goal to lose weight, there's actually a deep-seated negative emotion that's working against you. And so not only do you have to challenge that, not only do you have to challenge your beliefs and your self-talk to overcome that, but you also have to acknowledge it to be able to challenge your beliefs and self-talk. So you want to recognize that that's how you're feeling. I feel defeated. I've tried so many times. I feel let down because everybody tells me it's just not in my family or in my genes. Whatever it is, you want to recognize it. Then that will help you try and figure out the beliefs and correct the self-talk. But here's the other good thing about feelings. You also want to look at what about this goal allows you to feel good, or what steps towards this goal make you feel good. In other words, for running, running through trails has a great sort of childhood memory. It just has a great feeling for me, so that I know if I don't really feel up to running one day, that if I can go somewhere that's through the forest or through the woods, it creates an emotion inside of me that really has a good feeling and perks up my energy. And it's really true. We sometimes think that there's only, really hard constructive things we can do to perk up our energy, but we actually can build it by creating a good feeling in us. So if it's, a day that, going off trail or doing a different fun workout at the gym, or eating a food that maybe is healthy and everything, but also has a really good memory or childhood association with it, or going to a restaurant and eating a healthy meal, but it has a lot of good memories with it, doing something with your dog. There's just, so many endless things. I really encourage people to revert back to childhood memories. I think they are a great wealth of feel-good feelings that we can recreate with the goals we have now. But all to say, you really want to be trying to put into your goal achievement things that make you feel good. And that's why this isn't supposed to feel so hard. You're supposed to be doing things that rejuvenate you, make you feel free, light, young, all those kind of things. This is meant to be fun. Goals are meant to have a very fun component to them. And it's your job to find those things that help you feel that way. So now we're at the let's create it. Let's actually make it happen. And I have 4 things here that are kind of my A's, how to get an A on all of this. And it's affirmations, actions, affection, and appreciation. And affection's also acknowledgement. It depends how you want to look at it. But so what I mean by affirmations is really the self-talk. And so catching yourself on the self-talk or the negative self-talk is one thing, but then you need to have something to replace it. And so this is where affirmations come in place. You really want to, ahead of time, when you're in a good place, create these little phrases or messages that help you counteract any self-talk. So I'll use running again, it might be, I am strong and powerful and I am a runner no matter what distance I run. I always feel like a runner as long as I am moving through the air. It's all these you can just have these little statements. And you can't make those statements constructively when you're fighting self-talk. So you want to do them when you're in a place of feeling motivation and inspiration for your goal, and just know that they will help you. And you simply just want to say them. So if you have to write them down, if you have to put them in regular places, whatever it is, you just want to repeat them. Now, there's kind of 2 ways to do affirmations. People sometimes write them in a way that is where they want to get. It's kind of where their goal is. I really like writing affirmations, something closer to what you feel is possible right now. So, I enjoy the power of that and strength and freedom I feel from running. It makes me feel like anything is possible. But then, maybe as you get further along in the steps in your goal, it's I'm a runner and I can run and love it and have the energy and go as long as I want. It might sort of change and tweak it. So you need to feel like the affirmation is possible. In your distant future, you want to be working towards something, and then you always want to be refining it. If you can make it stronger, if you can make it more powerful, if you can make it loftier, then do it. But sometimes you have to work your way to get there to a place that you really feel it is possible. But you just need to be saying it all the time, every chance you get, and get it that it's, something down pat. Some people even just create power words. So they're just, power, running, freedom, love kind of thing. So you just, whatever works for you is is what you're going to do. So the next one is action. And this is a little bit of what I was talking about. You need to find those things you can do that make you feel good no matter what. So if running a 5K isn't always possible, and sometimes you get down on yourself when you try, then you want to find those things that are fun. So like I said, running through a trail, going for a bike ride, taking your dog out, whatever it is that sort of feels always possible but gives you a good feeling inside. Those are the actions you really want to, you almost want to write them down, because when you're not feeling so good, you'll sort of forget. You won't be able to be inspired to remember what those are. So all of those things, and like I tell people, sometimes curling up with a good blanket and a book is an action that's very self-loving and just makes you feel good. So it doesn't mean that it always has to be exercise, but you want that action. If you can come up with that action that makes you feel good, but is also something that works towards your goal. So maybe you have that healthy food that is comforting to you, but is also healthy, then you want to kind of, put an asterisk with it, write it down, put it where it's noticeable more times, because you'll forget in times that that's a good action for you to do. But especially if it's supporting your goal, it's hugely powerful the more you can do it. And you have to remember, habits are created by things that make your body feel good. So when you do these things, especially if it's just a little hint towards your goal, it's going to help your body feel like your goal is more possible and you're getting closer every time you do it. And then the last day, so we did affirmations, actions. I say it's affection because I also say it's acknowledgement. So it can be affection or acknowledgement, but we need to recognize the efforts we're making every day. And if that is going on your yoga mat for 2 minutes, you have to give yourself credit for getting there, for doing it. And if you needed 2 minutes of solitude and rest, then give yourself credit for doing that and recognizing that. And every day needs to be an acknowledgement for what you accomplished, affection to yourself that you are doing it, no matter how small. Some days all you will do towards becoming a runner is reading an online article about it, reading a magazine that tells you inspirational stories that tell you it's possible, talking to a friend about it. Those are all actions that deserve your affection and acknowledgement for doing them. If that is all you do in a day, you have accomplished a step towards your goal. So maybe it's looking up a new menu and you didn't even make the meal yet. Give yourself credit for doing that. That's a huge step. That's habit forming. It's you doing it. And if you're doing these small things every day, you're actually making huge steps every day and you don't even realize it. Because at one point, your body's going to eventually have such a focused concept of where you're going that it will be so easy, and it will be looking for opportunities to do that too. So all of these things are accomplishing your goal, whether it's you actually eating the food or doing the workout. All these other things are supporting it. So give yourself credit is my point. Self-love, affection, acknowledgement, a pat on the back are necessary every day. And look hard. If you can't find it, I can promise you, you'll find something you did that was helping you get where you want to go. And yes, so I kind of put those all together. Sorry. Affection and then appreciation. So like I was saying, the appreciation, so the affection is you making yourself feel good, seeing what feels good, what's getting you there, what helps you, the self-love, and then the appreciation is patting yourself on the back. And the other thing I think we need to do, and this is kind of the after run self-talk, it's the after workout, it's the after meal. You need to have appreciation for the opportunity you've had to be able to do these things. And appreciation even comes for when we didn't do things so well. So say it's, you indulged in a treat. You want to appreciate that treat. If you're going to do it, if you're going to take a break, if you're going to do something restful and loving for yourself, You want to appreciate that opportunity. Enjoy it. Don't be tough on yourself and feel like you failed. You want to take that all in. It is somehow good for you if you're taking that opportunity to be kind. So enjoy it. Appreciate the opportunities you have, even when you're not doing anything really hard. Appreciate anything you've done to try and work towards your goal, and appreciate for sure the accomplishments you make when you do them. I say when you make a big step in your journey towards your goal, you want to milk that for all it's worth. Think about it all day. Share it. Relive it. You want to milk it, because every time you remember and go through that accomplishment, you're sending signals to your body. I want more of this. We need to do this. Everything you appreciate, your body focuses on and will try to help you do more. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's kind of, a crash course in goal setting in a really short amount of time. I want to also let you know that I have put some packages together for my health coaching. I'm getting the messages that a lot of people are really feeling lost right now, especially when it comes to improving their health. I think we're all trying to get more energy. We're trying to get more enthusiasm back in life. We want to feel better in our bodies. We just want to feel more vitality for life. And so I put packages together that actually are 25% off my usual coaching fee. So you can message me for those. You can go to the website. There's tons more videos and blogs and information I have there for free. But just to let you know that it feels like a lot of people are struggling for what to do. And if you've heard me say in any other videos, oftentimes when we're looking for what to do, it's never just one thing. It's really about tweaking many things to be able to find the health that we're really looking for. And we are meant to be healthier. So don't feel like it's impossible, because remember, you are possible. I'm possible. We are all possible, and it's all possible. So message me if you'd like to know more. Good luck with the goal setting. Message me if you have questions along the way. The more time and effort you put into this, to working on it and taking care of yourself, will serve you well. Take care, and remember, I'm possible.